My name is Daniel Carter, and I'm 36 years old. I work as a senior software engineer at a major tech company in Chicago. I've been married to my wife, Olivia, for 10 years, or at least, I thought I was. Olivia, 34, is an elementary school teacher, known for her warmth, her smile, and the way she made everyone around her feel at ease. Together, we have two beautiful children: Ethan, who's 8 and obsessed with dinosaurs, and Lily, who's just 5 and loves painting pictures of our family. My family was my world. I thought we were the perfect unit, happy, unbreakable. I was wrong. It all started innocently enough, with a forgotten phone. Olivia had left her phone at home one morning as she rushed out the door to drop the kids off at school. I noticed it sitting on the counter, buzzing with a series of text notifications. Normally, I wouldn't even glance at her phone. We had that kind of trust, but this time, something felt off. The messages weren't from her usual group of friends or her school colleagues. They were from someone saved in her contacts as Mandy Yoga. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened the messages, and my heart sank. Mandy Yoga last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you. Mandy Yoga, when can I see you again? Mandy Yoga, did you delete our pictures like I told you? My hands trembled as I scrolled up through their chat history. It was a man, not a woman, and he was anything but subtle. Pictures, explicit ones, messages about their meetings, their plans, and worst of all, the night they had spent together while I was away at a work conference in Denver. My stomach churned, but the worst part came when I saw the dates. These messages stretched back months. Olivia hadn't just cheated on me once, this had been a long-term affair. And then, buried in their chat history, was the dagger that twisted the knife. Mandy Yoga, does he suspect anything? Olivia, no, is clueless. Daniel trusts me completely. I felt a tidal wave of emotions: anger, betrayal, humiliation. My wife, the woman I had given everything to, thought I was clueless. And 4 months, I had been. That night, I didn't confront her immediately. I wanted to gather more evidence, to confirm what I already knew but still couldn't fully believe. I installed a tracking app on her phone and synced it to mine. It wasn't hard, I worked in tech, after all. I also downloaded her deleted messages and went through her email. What I found broke me. She had been meeting this man, his name was Marcus Bryant, a 38-year-old real estate agent, during the day while I was at work. Sometimes, she even brought the kids along, passing him off as a family friend. The confrontation happened 3 days later. I waited until the kids were asleep. Olivia was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing was wrong. I sat across from her, my heart pounding in my chest, and slid a printed copy of her texts with Marcus across the coffee table. Care to explain this? I asked, my voice icy and calm, too calm. Her face turned ghostly pale as she picked up the papers. Daniel, don't lie. My voice cracked. I didn't want to yell because of the kids, but the rage was boiling inside me. How long, Olivia? How long have you been lying to me, to Ethan and Lily? Tears welled up in her eyes, but I wasn't falling for it. I'm sorry, she whispered, her voice trembling. It didn't mean anything. Don't you dare say it didn't mean anything. I stood up, towering over her. You betrayed me. You betrayed this family. And what about Marcus? Did it mean something to him? Did he mean something to you? She broke down sobbing, but her tears only fueled my anger. I demanded answers, and she finally admitted it. They had been seeing each other for nearly a year. The real drama unfolded the next morning. I called in sick to work and hired a private investigator. I wasn't just going to take her word for it, I needed proof for the inevitable divorce proceedings. Meanwhile, Olivia begged me to let her explain, to give her a second chance, but I couldn't even look at her. Then came the bombshell. The investigator called me later that day. He had followed Marcus to a cafe where he met with a woman who wasn't Olivia. It turned out Marcus was cheating on Olivia too. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly at the irony. My wife had wrecked our marriage for a man who didn't even respect her enough to be faithful. By the end of the week, I had served Olivia with separation papers. She moved out of the house to stay with her sister, leaving me with the kids. Ethan and Lily didn't understand why mommy wasn't home anymore, and I didn't know how to tell them. I felt like my entire world had been ripped apart. But little did I know, the real twist was still to come, and it would change everything. After Olivia moved out, the house felt like a ghost town. Ethan and Lily's laughter no longer echoed through the halls, and my own voice felt foreign to me when I spoke to them. Olivia had destroyed everything I thought we had, and yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was still more I didn't know, more she wasn't telling me. Then, a week after the separation, the private investigator called. His tone was sharp, urgent. "Daniel," he said, "you need to sit down for this." "What is it?" I asked, my pulse quickening. "It's about Marcus," he said, pausing like he wasn't sure how to say it. "He's not who he says he is. His real name is Martin Doyle. He's a con artist. And Olivia isn't the only woman he's been involved with. He's been targeting married women, getting them to leave their husbands, and then draining them dry financially, emotionally, everything." The words hit me like a freight train. "What do you mean? Is he after Olivia's money?" The investigator sighed. "Not exactly. From what I've uncovered, he already started convincing her to invest in his fake real estate projects months ago. He's got her for tens of thousands of dollars, her savings, your joint account. And Daniel," he hesitated, "he's been talking to the kids." "What?" My voice cracked. "Talking to them about what?" "I don't know yet, but it's clear he's trying to get closer to them. It's part of his mo. He makes the woman believe they are all going to be one big happy family." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. This wasn't just about an affair anymore. Marcus, or Martin, whatever his name was, wasn't just a sleazy cheater. He was a predator, and my family was his target. That night, I called Olivia. For the first time since she moved out, I wasn't yelling. I wasn't accusing. I was deadly calm. "Do you know who Marcus really is?" I asked her. She sniffled on the other end of the line. "Daniel, I've told you everything. He's a good man, okay? Stop," I barked, cutting her off. "He's a con artist, Olivia. His real name is Martin Doyle, and he's been using you. He's taken our money, and he's trying to get to our kids." There was a long silence on the line before she spoke, her voice trembling. "That's not true. He loves me, Daniel. He said he loves the kids, too. Wake up, Olivia," I shouted. "He's playing you. He's playing all of us, and I won't let him get near Ethan and Lily again." I hung up before she could say another word. The next day, I met with my lawyer to figure out how to protect the kids. A restraining order seemed like the obvious choice, but I needed more evidence to ensure it would hold up in court. Meanwhile, the private investigator kept digging. And then, the bomb dropped. I was sorting through some of Olivia's things that she hadn't taken with her when I found a hidden envelope stuffed into the back of a drawer in her nightstand. Inside were papers, bank statements, emails, and a handwritten letter. The letter was addressed to Marcus. "Dear Marcus, I've done what you asked. The money is all in the offshore account, and I've told Daniel I want a divorce. I just need a little more time before we can leave with the kids. I love you, and I know we'll be happy together. Thank you for helping me see what I really want." Olivia, I felt like my head was spinning. Olivia wasn't just a victim in this. She was complicit. She had planned to take Ethan and Lily and disappear with this man, leaving me behind, penniless and alone. I sat on the edge of the bed, clutching the letter in my hands, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I cried. Not because I was heartbroken, but because I was angry, furious. Olivia had chosen to betray not just me, but our children. She had put them in harm's way for a man who was using her. And now, I had the evidence I needed to destroy her. I picked up my phone and called the private investigator. "I've got something for you," I said, my voice like steel. "We're going to take them both down. Olivia and Marcus are about to learn what it feels like to lose everything." What Olivia didn't know was that her betrayal had awakened a side of me I didn't even know existed. If she thought I would roll over and let her ruin my life, she was sorely mistaken. The revenge was already starting to take shape in my mind. It wouldn't just be about exposing Marcus. No, it would be about making Olivia regret every single decision that led her to betray me. After reading Olivia's letter, I was no longer just a heartbroken husband. I was a man on a mission. Olivia and Marcus, or Martin, whatever his real name was, had taken everything from me: my trust, my family, my dignity. But if they thought they were walking away unscathed, they were in for a rude awakening. I spent the next 2 days meticulously planning my revenge. This wasn't going to be some reckless act of rage. No, I was going to dismantle their little fantasy piece by piece. They wouldn't just lose me, they would lose everything they held dear. Step 1: Exposing Marcus. The first step was to expose Marcus for the fraud he was. I worked closely with my private investigator, gathering every piece of dirt we could find. Bank records, fake business deals, the offshore account Olivia had helped him set up, it was all there. I even contacted a few of the other women he had conned. One of them, a woman named Rebecca, was more than willing to help. She was a single mother who had lost her entire savings to Marcus's fake real estate schemes. When I told her about Olivia and my kids, she nearly cried. "He's a monster," she said. "Whatever you're planning, I'm in." Rebecca provided us with detailed accounts of how Marcus operated, and her testimony would be crucial in taking him down. Step 2: Legal protection. While I worked to expose Marcus, I also focused on protecting my kids. My lawyer filed for an emergency custody hearing, citing Olivia's reckless behavior and Marcus's criminal activities. The letter I found, combined with the investigators' evidence, painted a damning picture of Olivia's judgment. The court granted me temporary full custody of Ethan and Lily until the case could be fully reviewed. Olivia, of course, was furious. She called me, screaming and crying, accusing me of turning the kids against her. "I'm doing this for their safety," I said coldly. "You chose Marcus over your family, Olivia. Now you'll have to live with the consequences." Step 3: Setting the trap. The next phase of the plan involved luring Marcus out into the open. I worked with the private investigator and Rebecca to stage a fake investment opportunity, something too good for Marcus to resist. Using a burner phone, Rebecca posed as a wealthy widow looking to invest in real estate. She dangled a $250,000 deal in front of him, and as expected, he took the bait. We arranged for the meeting to take place at a local hotel. What Marcus didn't know was that the room was wired with cameras and microphones. Rebecca would be wearing a wire, and the private investigator and I would be monitoring everything from a nearby room. Step 4: Confronting Olivia. While the trap for Marcus was being set, I decided it was time to confront Olivia face-to-face. I invited her over to the house under the guise of discussing visitation rights for the kids. When she arrived, she looked disheveled, almost desperate. "Daniel, can't we just talk, please, for the kids' sake?" "Oh, we're going to talk," I said, leading her into the living room. I handed her a folder containing copies of all the evidence I had gathered, the bank transfers, the emails, the letter, everything. Her face turned ashen as she flipped through the pages. What is this?" "This is the life you chose," I said coldly. "You didn't just cheat on me, Olivia. You endangered our kids. You gave everything we built to a con artist. And now, you're going to pay for it." Tears streamed down her face, but I didn't let her speak. "You're lucky I care more about Ethan and Lily than I do about destroying you. Because if I wanted to, I could have you arrested for what you've done." Her lips trembled. "Daniel, I made a mistake. I thought." "You thought what?" I snapped. "That he loved you? That he cared about you? He's playing you, Olivia, just like he's played every other woman in his life. And now, thanks to you, he's in our lives, too. But don't worry, I'm about to end that." I left her sitting there, sobbing into her hands. Step 5: The setup. The day of the meeting with Marcus arrived. Rebecca met him in the hotel room, dressed to the nines and playing the role of the eager investor. Marcus was charming, as expected, spinning his lies about guaranteed returns and exclusive properties. What he didn't realize was that Rebecca was leading him into a trap. She asked pointed questions about his business, coaxing him into admitting details about his scams. Every word was captured on tape. When the deal was finalized, Rebecca handed him an envelope full of fake cash, just enough to make him think he'd scored big. As soon as he reached for it, the door burst open, and the police stormed in. Marcus's smug smile vanished as he was handcuffed and dragged out of the room. I wasn't there when it happened, but I got the call from the investigator minutes later. "It's done," he said. "Marcus is in custody, and with the evidence we provided, he won't be seeing the outside of a jail cell for a long time." It wasn't over yet, though. Olivia was next on my list, and she was about to find out what happens when you betray the wrong man. With Marcus in custody, the gears of my revenge shifted to Olivia. She had chosen to betray me and bring a con artist into our lives. She'd endangered our children, abandoned our marriage, and laughed while doing it. But now, it was time for her world to crumble just as mine had. The custody bombshell. The morning after Marcus's arrest, I met with my lawyer and filed for full custody of Ethan and Lily. The evidence we had on Olivia's reckless behavior and her association with Marcus painted her as an unfit mother. The letter, the bank transactions, and her refusal to cut ties with Marcus were undeniable proof. When Olivia was served the custody papers, she stormed into my office unannounced. Her hair was a mess, her face pale with anger. "You think you can take my kids from me?" she screamed. I stood up calmly, meeting her fiery gaze. "They are our kids, Olivia, and I'm doing what's best for them. You've proven that their safety isn't your priority." "Marcus was a mistake," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't know." "You didn't care," I interrupted. "You didn't care who he was as long as he made you feel special. You gambled with our family's future, and you lost." Her sobs turned into heaving breaths. "You can't do this to me, Daniel. I'm their mother, and I'm their father," I replied. "The difference is, I put them first. The court will see that." She left, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. Public humiliation. While the custody case was moving forward, I decided to take things a step further. Olivia had paraded her betrayal around town, thinking she could walk away unscathed. But she had no idea the storm I was about to unleash. Using the evidence from my private investigator, I leaked the details of Marcus's scams and his affair with Olivia to the local media. It wasn't hard, people love a scandal, and this one was juicier than most. The headline read: "Con man exposed local woman's affair linked to multi-million-dollar fraud scheme." Within hours, Olivia became the talk of the town. Her friends, her co-workers, even the parents at Ethan and Lily's school were whispering about her. She tried to play the victim, claiming she didn't know about Marcus's crimes, but no one believed her. The worst part for her? Marcus had already confessed to implicating Olivia in several of his schemes during his police interrogation. Whether or not she was actively involved didn't matter, her reputation was destroyed. The financial fallout. Marcus's arrest also triggered a financial investigation, and guess whose name was on several suspicious transactions? Olivia's. Her bank accounts were frozen, her assets were seized, and her credit cards were declined. She went from living comfortably to scrambling for money overnight. One evening, she called me, her voice trembling. "Daniel, I need help. They've taken everything. I don't even have enough to pay rent." I didn't even hesitate. "That's not my problem, Olivia. You made your bed, and now you can lie in it." "But what about the kids?" she pleaded. "They need a roof over their heads." "The kids are with me," I said firmly. "They are safe. That's all that matters." The final blow. While Olivia was dealing with her public disgrace and financial ruin, I decided it was time to end her illusion of control once and for all. The day of the custody hearing arrived, and Olivia showed up looking like a shadow of her former self. Her usual confidence was replaced with desperation. My lawyer presented our case with brutal precision, laying out every detail of Olivia's neglect, Marcus's crimes, and the danger she had exposed our children to. Olivia's lawyer tried to counter, claiming she was a victim of Marcus's manipulation, but the judge wasn't buying it. When the ruling came down, it was as if the air had been sucked out of the room. I was granted full custody of Ethan and Lily. Olivia was given supervised visitation rights, pending a psychological evaluation. She collapsed in her seat, sobbing uncontrollably. As I walked out of the courtroom, I didn't even look back. The final conversation. Later that evening, Olivia showed up at my house unannounced. She looked broken, her makeup smudged, her clothes wrinkled. "Daniel, please," she whispered. "I've lost everything. I have nothing left. Just let me see the kids. Let me explain." I stood in the doorway, blocking her from coming inside. "You don't get to play the victim, Olivia. You made your choices. Now you have to live with them." Her eyes filled with tears. "I still love you, Daniel. Can't we start over?" I laughed bitterly. "Love? You don't know the meaning of the word. If you did, you wouldn't have thrown our family away for a con artist." She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Goodbye, Olivia." And with that, I closed the door in her face. For the first time in months, I felt free. The revenge was complete. Olivia's life was in shambles, just as she had left mine. But this time, I was the one holding all the cards. With Olivia out of the picture and custody of Ethan and Lily firmly in my hands, life slowly started to regain some semblance of normalcy. The house, once filled with tension and betrayal, now echoed with the laughter of my kids. But even as I moved forward, the scars of Olivia's betrayal lingered. The kids struggled at first. Ethan, at 10, was old enough to understand bits and pieces of what had happened. He had questions, and I did my best to answer them without vilifying his mother. "Why can't Mommy live with us anymore?" he asked one night while we were building a model rocket together. I sighed, choosing my words carefully. "Mom made some bad decisions, buddy, but that doesn't mean she doesn't love you and your sister. Right now, it's better for everyone if she has some time to figure things out." Lily, only 7, was more resilient. She missed her mom but was easily distracted by the warmth and stability I worked hard to provide. Every bedtime story, every school lunch, every reassuring hug was a step toward rebuilding the trust they had lost. Olivia's downward spiral. While I was rebuilding my life, Olivia's continued to unravel. Word spread quickly about her association with Marcus, and her once close friends turned their backs on her. She lost her job at the marketing agency when clients refused to work with someone tied to a financial scandal. Her supervised visitations with the kids were awkward and strained. The Olivia I saw during those visits was a shell of the woman I had married. She tried to put on a brave face for Ethan and Lily, but the weight of her choices was visible in her every move. One day, after a particularly tense visit, she cornered me in the parking lot. "Daniel," she said, her voice trembling, "I know I don't deserve it, but I need a second chance. For the kids. For us." I shook my head, my resolve unshaken. "There's no us anymore, Olivia. The kids will always have a mother, but you lost the right to call me your husband the moment you betrayed me." Tears welled up in her eyes, but I turned and walked away. The kids begin to understand. Months passed, and slowly, the kids began to piece together the truth. Ethan overheard whispers at school and asked more pointed questions. One evening, after Lily was asleep, he came into the living room holding his iPad. "Dad," he said hesitantly, "I saw something online about Mom and that Marcus guy. Is it true?" I took a deep breath, kneeling down to meet his eyes. "Ethan, what happened between your mom and Marcus is complicated, but what's important is that you and Lily are safe now. And I'm always here to answer your questions, okay?" He nodded slowly, processing my words. "I just don't understand why she did it." "Neither do I admitted. But sometimes people make bad choices, even when they don't mean to hurt the ones they love." Ethan hugged me tightly, and in that moment, I knew we were going to be okay. My own healing. For the first time in years, I started focusing on myself. Therapy became a regular part of my life, helping me unpack the anger, betrayal, and guilt I had carried for so long. I also reconnected with old friends, rediscovering the parts of myself I had lost during my marriage. I found joy in simple things, coaching Ethan's soccer team, helping Lily with her art projects, and spending quiet evenings reading by the fireplace. One day, during a session with my therapist, she asked, "What does forgiveness look like for you, Daniel?" I thought about it for a long moment before answering. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means letting go of the power her betrayal has over me, and I'm working on that. The unexpected letter. One afternoon, a letter arrived in the mail, addressed to me in Olivia's familiar handwriting. I hesitated before opening it, unsure if I was ready for whatever she had to say. The letter was long and filled with apologies. She admitted to her mistakes, to letting her insecurities and selfish desires ruin our family. "I don't expect your forgiveness," she wrote, "but I hope one day you can see that I've changed. I'm working on myself, for the kids and for me. Thank you for being the parent they deserve, even when I couldn't." I folded the letter carefully and placed it in a drawer. I wasn't ready to respond, but it was a step toward closure. Moving forward, the day I finalized the sale of the house Olivia and I had shared felt like the end of an era. I bought a smaller place, cozy but full of potential. The kids helped me decorate, each choosing their own room themes. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine again. Ethan and Lily were thriving, and I was finally at peace. As I tucked Lily into bed one night, she looked up at me with her wide, innocent eyes. "Daddy, are you happy now?" I smiled, stroking her hair. "I am, sweetheart. I really am." And for the first time in what felt like forever, it was true.